Are we ready to rock and roll? All right, good afternoon, everybody. We'll call today's meeting to order. Welcome. The first thing that we're going to do today is obviously have a look at the agenda that's before us. I'll accept a motion to accept it as presented, moved by Councillor Ledwell, seconded by Councillor Stoyles. Do we have any additions to attach to the agenda for October 30th outside of the one? Two pieces now. I see a notice of motion we'll add to the agenda. I also see from corporate services an update on invoices for approval as well. Those are the only items to be added. Okay, that being the case, we'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried. First item on the agenda, Council, would be our public meeting of October the 16th. The minutes have been presented. I'm assuming everybody's had a chance to review. We'll accept a motion on the minutes that they be accepted as presented. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Walsh. Are there any errors or omissions? And again, we're referring to the meeting of October 16th. Any errors or omissions? Errors or omissions only at this point. Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried. Business arising from the council meeting of October 16th. And if there is, would you please identify it by the number? Business arising. Any? That is not going to be referred to in the meeting today. Hearing none, we will move along then on the agenda. If this thing is all working for me. Council, we have two proclamations we are going to sign today. I'm going to sign one of them. It's in reference to Electromagnetic Hypersensitivity Awareness Month. We do not have anyone in our chamber today to speak to it, but we have had the request that we identify this particular illness, recognize the impact that this is having on people in our community and elsewhere, and to sign into the record and to declare our recognition of Electromagnetic Hypersensitivity Awareness Month. To that end, I will read the first whereas, or one or two of them, and then the appropriate clause. The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas people throughout the world have developed the illness of electromagnetic hypersensitivity, or EMHS, as a result of global electromagnetic pollution. And whereas electromagnetic hypersensitivity is a painful chronic illness of hypersensitive reactions to electromagnetic radiations for which there is no cure. And whereas power lines and transformers generate electromagnetic fields and may be contributing to electrical sensitivity and to other illnesses such as cancer. And whereas illness may be preventable through the reduction or avoidance of electromagnetic radiation in both indoor and outdoor environments and by further medical research, therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Randy Sims, City of Mount Pearl, hereby proclaim the month of November as Electromagnetic Hypersensitivity Awareness Month in the City of Mount Pearl. I will affix my signature accordingly, and we will pass on the proclamation to the appropriate organizations. Anybody with a comment? At all? I'm sorry? And you are? Hi, Joanna. Did you wish to take a moment to speak to this? Yes, you are. Go right ahead. You want to come up? You're best to come up here and use this microphone. I apologize, Joanna. I don't think anybody knew that you. I don't think that anybody knew that you were here. Okay, but you got to use it. Don't need it? Okay, you go ahead and speak loud.
It's nice to meet you, Mayor Sims.
And you.
And all councilors. And forgive me because I'm suffering right now with all this. Good evening. On behalf of myself and other electromagnetic hypersensitivity, multiple chemical sufferers all around the world, we want to thank you, Mayor Sims and councilors of Mount Pearl. Excuse me, there's a smell there. On proclaiming November 2012 as Electromagnetic Hypersensitivity Awareness Month. What is electromagnetic hypersensitivity? It is like 100 people yelling in both ears at the same time. Almost like being hit all over in areas all day long, stopping and starting again. Then it goes into burning and painting and slowly the exposure goes away. You get hit again with exposure from some frequencies, and the multiple chemical gets worse and worse. This will be the biggest debate ever in history, as it debates our health. People getting allergic to electricity, microwaves, cell phones, radio frequencies, towers, power lines, satellite dishes, cell phones, and anything that emits these. These are a causative effect to electromagnetic hypersensitivity and multiple chemical sensitivity diseases, allergies, because the body is a delicate system of tiny electrical nerve signaling in the body from the brain to the heart to function. Also a causative effect to global warming, as you said, sir. Storms, disasters, which are getting harsher and harsher. Our wildlife is affected, and along with the chemicals that is being used to take care of one issue and then create another health issue problem. This is unfolded in the late 70s, almost 30 years of technology and wireless. In 10 years, not counting the natural background electromagnetic field, it changed from 1 billion times man-made radiation. Our bioelectric bodies is not designed to withstand or absorb all this radiation, energy, and chemicals. It has to go somewhere. Electromagnetic hypersensitivity is called the 21st century allergy functional impairment. There is no cure for it, or multiple chemical sensitivity. It is prudent avoidance, just like any serious food allergy. We electromagnetic hypersensitivity sufferers has to do all degrees of usual avoidance just to survive for some wellness. Turn the most power off, turn heat down and up for body breaks. Wear oven mitts to plug in and unplug things. We wear cotton as much as possible, spend most of our money things to help us. I am sleeping on a plastic lawn chair. We have to sleep in cars a few times. Evening, even when it was raining, it was so bad I had to stay at a dugout. Heartbreaking things are, I almost gave up. Could not tolerate some exposures. That was so high to get desperate. When we get desperate, we try and reach out to whomever. With environmental sensitivities, electromagnetic hypersensitivity, multiple chemical sensitivity, we are not treated the same way or with respect. It's not a disease. It's not mental illness. Nor is it an allergy that can be treated with meds. More and more people are resorting to remote areas and growing their own chemical-free food, just like our grandparents did, and no electricity like they did 100 years ago. I ask you, please be other voices on this debate and lobby our government to reduce our milligas. The stakes are high. It's our health, our kids, family, and generations to come. Plus our earth, the only one that we got. We are seeing the 21st century diseases higher in rates, and scientists predict it's not too late to halt on the man-made wireless radiation and listen to pay heed to the expert scientists to research and bring the dangers out. Newfoundland Labrador has the highest rate of certain diseases and cancers, and being built on a rock doesn't help. Already 10% of the world's electric hypermagnetic sensitivity, and by the year 2017, scientists predict 50% will suffer. All of you tonight, please make a conscientious decision and do something about this serious health issue of electromagnetic fields. Step prudent and distance. It could be you next, or your loved ones allergic to the 21st century and trying to flee somewhere for safety and fleeing of being alone without anyone understanding or caring. Talking about it is not the answer. Doing something is. I have nowhere to turn to or nowhere to go. For having a knowing knowledge on my electromagnetic hypersensitivity and wise and advocating to try and make a difference. Sadly, uncompassionately, for 2 years, I have been bullied and harassed with people I don't know in making the electromagnetic hypersensitivity severe and worse, with the ways of knowing from a distance that can put me in health danger. so this information does not get out. We electromagnetic hypersensitivity people knows when and why most what's making us severe. Sadly, I cannot do anything about it, and I pray and cry to our Maker above for some justice. When the head, the heart, the body can feel the signal of cell phones, towers, radio frequencies, CBs, antennas, transformer, power lines, satellite dishes, transport truck, towers miles away. And most since there's something seriously wrong in our environment. Please don't let this be your life. It's like being in a movie or a nightmare and waiting for it to wake up. Living a life of electromagnetic hypersensitivity, refuge, and in harsh conditions and severe exposure subjectively is unimaginable to extremes. Excuse me. And inhumane in this age with no support for us, no clinic, no environmental doctors to help. Knock in the door will be open. Well, I'm still knocking, and no one is answering, only God's prayers. At only 53, I thank God I had this only for 5 years. The sad part is kids are getting electromagnetic hypersensitivity too, and that's not right. Please don't be voices in the wind. This is one of the biggest painful health debates ever. I can't do it by myself anymore. I will be a first-time grandmother soon. And I'm fearful for my grandson, for myself, and the boys, and all of you, everyone. Electromagnetic hypersensitivity sufferers are canaries in the mine. We are telling you something is wrong. Thank you for listening. For the proclamation, please use distance caution, and God bless you from me and all the sufferings, because this is coming down. All this technology is wonderful, but we're paying a price. And there's more and more people that don't know this. When you pick up this stuff from a distance, and you got nowhere to go, nowhere to turn to, all you can do is pray, cry. People understand. That's all. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Joanne, very much. This is a new emerging area of illness and disease, and initiatives I know will soon get underway to address this in a more concrete manner. Signing the proclamation for you and on your behalf is our honor to do it. We wish you the best of luck as you continue to get your message out. Thank you for this.
I thank you very much.
Thank you, dear.
Okay,
Take
you have
care.
a wonderful day.
You too now. Anybody with a comment or a thought?
Do I get the proclamation?
Oh, indeed
too?
you do. My dear, indeed you do. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. The next item that we have on the agenda is a second proclamation. This one is for World Town Planning Day. I'm assuming that our World Town Planner is going to have a word to say. We'll read the proclamation into the record. It is worded as follows. Whereas November 8th of each year has been celebrated as World Town Planning Day since its inception in 1949 and is currently celebrated in over 30 countries in 4 continents. And whereas the members of the Atlantic Planners Institute, a component of the Canadian Institute of Planners, endorses World Town Planning Day as an opportunity to highlight the contribution that sound planning makes to the quality of our settlements and environment. And whereas World Town Planning Day also celebrates Canadian accomplishments made in the collective decisions concerning our cities and regions that bring quality and meaning to our lives. And whereas the celebration of World Town Planning Day gives us an opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of planning commissions and other citizen planners who have contributed time and effort to the improvement of our many cities and regions. And whereas we fully appreciate the many valuable contributions made by the professional community and regional planners and extend our thanks for the continued commitment to public service, now therefore let it be known that I, Randy Sims, Mayor of the City of Mount Pearl, do hereby proclaim the day of November 8, 2012 as World Town Planning Day in the City of Mount Pearl, and do commend its thoughtful observance to all citizens of our province. I shall affix my signature. and invite our city planner, Mr. Yevchek, to address. Or Mr. Aker. Which of you are going to talk about this?
Thank you, Your Worship, for giving me just a brief moment. And I know Councillor Aker does want to add a few more comments about the events, but just certainly on behalf of the profession, I want to thank the council for the observance of the day. We were leaders in observing this day. This is now being observed, leaders here in this province. This is now being observed by a number of municipalities in this province. And I think the message that's going out by this council in doing a proclamation is we're all working together trying to create a better world in which to live in, better communities. And I certainly want to thank, again, the council for the proclamation. I know we do have a special event that we hold every day, every World Town Planning Day in recognition of the day. And I think I'll leave it there and pass over to Councillor Aker, if you don't mind, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Yevchek. Councillor Aker?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, and I'd like to congratulate the director and, of course, all the not only all the staff in planning, but really all of the city staff, and as well as the community, as well as council. Every day that we come to this chamber or we go to committee work, we do things related to planning for good reasons. Some call it a bureaucracy, some call it red tape. We issue orders, we refine our regulations, we approve subdivision permits, which we'll do today, for example. We do strategic plans. All those things are important in the long run. We look back at the city of our the history of our fine city, and there's cases in the past where we realized where the planning perhaps wasn't the best, and we only know that in the long run. But we're really, really grateful that the city, as we say here today and over the years, had a very, very good culture with regards to planning. We look at our regional partners, and there's many issues in our region that, partly is a result of poor planning. And we can always look back here in Mount Pearl, and I think we can say we're the epitome of planning in this province. And it's largely thankful to the leadership shown by not only councils of the past, but also the staff and the professional planners, as well as the support staff in the planning department. And we won't be meeting again until, I think, the 13th of November. So I'd ask if the director and the CAO could pass it on to all staff. On behalf of the residents in the community, we commend you on that day, and we celebrate with you Town Planners Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
In fact, that we're honored in our newest textbook in the high school. City of Mount Pearl is
That's a good sign.
under the planning section, so that speaks volumes.
That's a good sign.
The great work that our folks do here.
Thank you, everyone. Moving on with the agenda in correspondence, we do have a piece of correspondence today that comes to us. Really, it's two in one. That comes to us from the president of Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador. This would be Mayor Churns Rogers. And, of course, he is also sending along a copy of a letter that he received. And this one is from the Federal Minister of Environment, and it is referenced to a particular piece of work that Mount Pearl did, which is calling for a change in IDF values, or if you will. And this is directly related to climate change issues and climate change initiatives. IDF values, of course, being an issue surrounding intensity, duration, frequency of rainfall and water collection. We believe that over the last several years there have been significant changes, and that therefore these maps and these codes and these particular formulae need to be updated. I'm delighted in reviewing the letter from the Minister of the Environment to see that a tremendous amount of update work in that particular area is taking place, and that a new guide is being produced that will be used by municipalities and others in particular the planning and infrastructure build that goes on in our world. And so that's going to be a positive. Does anybody have a comment on the letters at all at this point in time? I don't think, based on the commentary from the federal minister, that we are required to do any further response to them. Anybody with a comment? What we've seen, it's certainly timely, no doubt about that. No question. We are going to move now then into committee reports. Public Works would be first. Councillor Walsh, if you would, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. We met on Thursday in committee, Your Worship, just to review after all the garbage carts had been distributed throughout the city, and of course to implement some follow-up actions that are required related to that. First of all, I think everyone is fully aware that the entire city has now been distributed in terms of the garbage carts. And of course, the system appears to be working very, very well throughout all parts of the city as well.
So all of our collection as of now is using the cart system.
That's correct, yeah. And I think last week was probably the first week that we could say that, because I think the day of the very first, we did have a mechanical issue, and there was one section that was presented with some problems. Where we are now, Your Worship and members of council, basically is we're collecting carts in subsidiary apartments where people don't have a need for a second cart. And of course, if they don't have a need, why would we provide them with a cart? What we're doing in those cases is making that the highest priority. So the initial drop was to have, if you had a registered two-apartment home, you were given initially 2 carts. And now I think, as of yesterday, every single cart in the city has been collected where there wasn't a need for a second cart, at least based on the list that we had been provided with. We're continuing to work with different homeowners who have expressed concerns about the automated system. I think our Public Works is working with Community Services in the development of a cart buddy system, which we hope might be able to be implemented fairly soon to try to help residents who have particular difficulties, particularly ailing residents or aging residents or people with physical disabilities, those sorts of things. So the reminder, of course, is that right now we're doing soft enforcement through our municipal enforcement officers. They're being proactive. They're out on the garbage routes, checking for any violations or infractions. And what we're doing is gently reminding people what they need to do to be in compliance with the regulations. Eventually, however, that soft compliance has to end, and we have to take a little bit of a harder stand, and that probably won't be until a little later, until people are more used to the carts. Generally speaking, however, I think we couldn't have asked for a better rollout. Took it a little longer than we thought to actually get the carts in the residents' hands. But we actually had calls, Your Worship, where people were asking, when am I going to get my cart? When am I going to get my cart? So there was enthusiasm, and people were fairly highly motivated to use the carts. They do, as we all know, they do present some problems for duplex, triplex housing, that sort of thing. But we're working our way through those. And ironically enough, in the area where we intentionally chose to put a pilot project, which is in the Farrell Drive area, where there are fairly steep hills and grades, and where there are some row housing and some townhouses there, we really haven't had a lot of problems there at all, and we're very pleased with that. But we're working our way through all the problems. There will be, obviously, there will be continuing to be some issues or complaints that we're working with. One thing that I want to say is that we've had very, very few issues with the actual carts themselves in terms of breakage or the wheel assemblies or the axles or anything of that nature. I know they're new, but anytime you get something new, when you put out almost 10,000 as we did, you'd expect a much higher number or incidence of disrepair or malfunction or whatever. That wasn't the case. So things are working well, and thankfully the automated systems are working well as well. So we'll continue to keep you updated, but for now things are going well, and we're continuing to hear, of course, that wait till the winter comes, but these are tried, tested, and true throughout the winter and in winter climates, and we're hoping that our experience will be a positive one as well. It won't be without issue, of course, but we think that they'll be fairly minimal. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. We're moving on to our Community Services Committee. Councillor Tessier is not here today. We're going to ask Deputy Mayor Locke if he would step into that task. And Councillor Stoyles, you serve as alternate on that committee. Okay. Deputy Mayor?
Just a point about our garbage, new garbage bins. We were out at the school last week. We had what they call the Healthy Commotion Day. And we had 650 of our kids and teachers and staff went out for a walk around Powers Pond during one period. And along the pathway, I'd say about 50 or 60 of our students stopped in awe and watched our garbage collection come along, and they were amazed at just how efficient it was. The truck pulled up, the arm came out, took the garbage can, I think one kid said, Mr. Locke, I think that took about 7 seconds for these people to do that. So they were very impressed at a young age, and I had a few envious people from other communities that don't yet have our garbage collection. So, well, of course, right? So yes, and I know I've received a couple of emails as well. Councillor Walsh mentioned about the frustrations that some residents have been expressing, but again, they're in the minority, and I've received.
We're trying to help them as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll work through the system as you said. Just to report here, we have 3 items of information, Your Worship, and I know Councillor Tessier loves to deliver these. The first is the Mount Pearl Merlins, and congratulations are in order to the youngest swimmers who started out the season October 13th weekend in Conception Bay South. Again, we have many great swimmers achieve new time standards, and they're now going to be able to attend a meet in Pointe Claire, Quebec in December. And again, they're going to attend the Newfoundland Provincial Championships in Deer Lake, March of 2013. So again, a heartfelt congratulations to our swimmers who placed top in their age groups, and it promises again to be another great season for our Merlins. And we get a lot of feedback. Our swimmers, I mean, wait till we get our new pool. You know, it'll be almost daily reports, I think, for our swimmers. So that's for information purposes, Your Worship. The next one here is the Remembrance Run, 11K, being held on Sunday, November the 11th. Just a reminder to all of our residents that on Remembrance Day, this 11K run will start at 8 a.m. on the T-Railway sections of Mount Pearl, starting at the trail intersections on Commonwealth Avenue, and that, of course, is across from the Piper's Mall there. St. John Ambulance and RNC will be in attendance for the duration of the run and will be the last vehicle for assistance of all runners. And, of course, our municipal enforcement officers will be in attendance, again, to offer support. And this is for information purposes. And the last one, Your Worship, is our Remembrance Day Parade and our wreath-laying ceremony on Sunday, November the 11th. The Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 36, will pay tribute to all of those who fought to preserve the values that we hold so dear with a parade and a wreath-laying ceremony. And I remember last year, many people commented just at the massive turnout we had last year. So, and it's delightful to see that a lot of the youth, a lot of the young people were out last year as well. So, you know, recognition of this special day certainly is being displayed in the crowds that are coming out. So the parade this year will travel from the Mount Pearl Swimming Pool parking lot, starting at 10 a.m. Under the direction again of our municipal enforcement officers. The parade will advance east on Park Avenue to Worrell Crescent to Park Avenue, and the ceremony will start at 11:55 a.m. in front of the Cenotaph at Park Place Community Centre. And again, we encourage all folks to get out and join in this Remembrance Day parade and, of course, our wreath-laying ceremony. And that's it, Your Worship, for community services.
Thank you so much. Well, next is corporate services, so you may as well stay on your feet,
Sure.
Deputy Mayor, and carry on.
All right. The first item here, Your Worship, is a request from Councillor John Walsh to attend the 2012 Atlantic Business Conference and Expo. We're recommending as a committee that this approval here. It's in accordance with our professional development policy, and I move that this request be granted.
It is moved and seconded by Councillor Aker. Question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Contrary-minded, motion carried.
The next item, Your Worship, deals with low-income earner tax deferrals. The committee is recommending approval of the 2 tax deferrals outlined there with the roll numbers indicated. The first is in the amount of $3,518.08, and the second is in in the amount of $600.13, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion carried.
The next item, Your Worship, are the uncollectible accounts and tax write-off. The committee is recommending approval to write off the balance and remove the following accounts from the city's records. Again, it's noted that the businesses have closed and all collection efforts have been exhausted. So the first, it deals with Excel Electrical Limited for a total amount of $603.44. The next is Chromate Accessories, Inc., and that amount is $1,235.47. And again, I move that these be written off.
Moved, seconded by Councillor Aker. Any question or comment? Councillor, anybody? Call it. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion carried.
And the last item for our committee, Your Worship, are the invoices for council approval, and they are on the yellow sheet outside of our kit. You see we have 14 invoices here, and they are totaling $2,338,890.59. And I move that these amounts be accepted as presented.
Moved and seconded. Question or comment on any of the items listed 1 through 14, Council? All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
And that is it for me, Your Worship.
That concludes corporate services. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, Economic Development, Communications, Tourism, and everything else we could think to throw at her. Councillor Stoyles.
Thank you, Your Worship. We just have the one item, just to, I guess, to inform the public that we meet regularly with the Chamber, and we had our regular meeting with the Chamber on October 24th. And when I say me, Councillor Walsh and myself, who serves on the committee, and of course the staff at Economic Development. And the main purpose of the meeting this time was to discuss the budget. And of course our Director of Corporate Services, Jason Silva, gave an overview of the budget and how it works and the timelines and all that. And of course the Chamber is going to put in a paper to us in the next number of weeks, and we told them the deadlines and when we would like to have it in order for it to make an impact for us.
Well, I wonder, will they be recommending that we increase business taxes, do you think? What do you think? You wouldn't bet on it, would you?
There was also a number of other issues that we discussed with them. Of course, the Pearl Awards, we just wanted to let them know some of the things that was going on in with economic development. Upcoming new website that the Chamber is doing, they informed us of that. And of course, the city's anti-littering campaign that we're putting in place, and the city's new economic development strategy that we're involved in putting in place. And it was certainly a good meeting, and we're looking forward to meeting with the Chamber again in the new year. And I think the plan is that our economic development and Paradise Economic Development's department would get together and meet in the new year along with the Chamber in cooperation.
That would be a good thing to do. I had the pleasure, by the way, just for the committee's sake, of meeting with the president of the Chamber, quite by accident more than anything, at the opening for the Christmas at the Glacier. They were a sponsor and brought greetings there, as did we. And so I had a chance to talk with Deborah, and we made reference to the new occupancy tax circumstance or development that's going on in the city of St. John's. I expressed to Deborah Felton that I was a little surprised that the Board of Trade and the business community seemed to embrace that wholeheartedly, and I wondered how her Chamber members would feel about looking at that kind of a change, because it's not something we have in mind for this tax year for us at all. They're gonna take it back, and she said they would be open to that. So I'm looking forward to getting their response, and I'm sure in your meeting, possibly come January, that would be a topic that I'd like us and the town of Paradise, if we're going to meet with them as a group, to actually put on the table.
Actually, that was on the table. We talked about that
Yeah,
at the meeting.
it's rather intriguing to me, the whole concept. Anyway, thank you for that.
And we did speak about that, and like I said, we will be meeting with the Paradise.
That is wonderful.
And you will be invited, Your Worship.
Oh, great. That's wonderful. Thank you. And that's it for economic development. We are moving on to engineering services. Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have 3 items this evening to bring forward. The first is just another update on the multiplex. Of course, things continue to progress well with the construction of the multiplex. Currently, we're working with Community Services and Marco, the contractor, of course, to coordinate traffic flow for the upcoming fall and winter seasons in behind the glacier. Of course, as we move further into the fall and the weather gets bad, we're hoping to keep it safe up there and make sure that traffic can flow as freely and as easily as we might expect on a construction site, quite literally. So that is ongoing. As well, the pool construction is ongoing, and as well, you'll see that the brickwork is happening now at the Reed Centre itself, starting to take shape, certainly starting to look very good. In addition, the concrete foundation work and the concrete wall work is ongoing as we put the pool in and start work on the actual enclosure of the building. Finally, I just want to make mention that the steel fencing for the hoarding fence around the site is now in place. As you may remember, during Tropical Storm Leslie, we had a problem with the clapboard fence that was up there that contained the graffiti art that the Aim to Fame mural jam had put there over the summer months. That, of course, has been taken down. Some of it had blown across Opal Central Road during the tropical storm. We now have the chain link fencing in place, which is safer, and we've stored the clapboard fencing at the city depot until we can find a place to put it. Certainly, we're working hard with community services to try and make that happen. We don't have a place quite yet, but certainly, with any luck, we'll have a place in the near future.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry. Deputy Mayor, you first. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the number of people that noticed the murals were
Gone. My wife, first one that said, what happened? Right.
Right. I said, like, where's your paintings gone? They really, really stood out in the community on this.
And I said Leslie, and she said, oh. But, that's it. Yeah.
I bet you I can guess what your question is going to be.
What's my question going to be,
Your
Councillor Ledwell?
Your question is going to be about the camera.
Where's our camera?
I have an answer for you, Your Worship.
Oh, do you?
I indeed
Let's
have
go
an answer.
for it.
Thank
By the way, I gave Rick Dunphy a hard time of it yesterday over the camera. So, Rick Dunphy,
Okay.
right?
Well, I've got some information for you, courtesy of Director Silver.
There you
I'm
go.
told that the camera equipment has been ordered.
Yay.
Some of it has actually arrived, so
All
we're
right.
very close to getting it up there. We're expecting that the camera will actually be up and running next week. So we're making some serious progress. In fact, staff are going to be going up to the site this week to take some pictures and hopefully get them up on the website, so we're going to get a bit of a head start. But the actual camera will be in place hopefully by next week, and you'll have your camera, and people will be able to see on the website as to the progress of the
Go in and see
multiplex.
the progress. I think it's going to look good to see that building as it starts to go up. I really do. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. The second item that we have is to do with quotes on the demolition of 32 Forest Avenue as we continue to work through the process of dealing with the homes that are being acquired down on Forest Avenue. The first quote that we have is to do with the abatement of the property at 32 Forest. We have 3 bids, and as you can see, they're laid out in the kit there. The recommendation from the committee is that the contract be awarded to the lowest bidder, PowerVac, for the bid of $3,500 plus HST, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Ledwell, seconded by Councillor Stoyles. Questions or comments, anyone? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded, motion carried. I suppose we all appreciate the irony, do we, of doing an abatement of this nature, an asbestos abatement on a building that after we get the abatement done, and we can say, now there's no more danger of asbestos, tear that sucker down. Everybody does appreciate the irony of that, do they? Oh, of course it's the law. I'm not disagreeing with it. It just seems so funny to do. All right. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, and our final item this evening is to do with the actual demolition. As you so rightly indicate, we have 3 bidders on the demolition of 32 Forest Avenue. It is recommended that the contract be awarded to the lowest of the 3 bidders, that being GS Hunt, for the bid of $14,500 plus HST, and I so move.
Moved and seconded by Councillor Stoyles. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Contrary-minded, the motion is carried. Is that everything for you, Councillor Ledwell?
It does. It is indeed. Thank you,
It
Your
is.
Worship.
Thank you very much. Move on to Planning and Land Use Committee. Councillor Aker.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I was down to the Forest Avenue area there only a couple weeks ago, and it does. One of the houses is down. Not this property, obviously, but another property, and it looks quite nice down there, all greened up. It looks like there was never a house there. The first item for Council's consideration is an invitation, Pearl Awards for Urban Design and Gardens. Ceremonies taking place on November 8th, and that also happens to be World Planning Day. Yes.
Yeah, it's coincidental, but it was the same time last year.
Right?
I think they do it deliberately. What do you think?
It's coming out
Well
of the planning
planned.
department, I hear, and I hear they have a landscape architect on the who's a member also of the CIP, who's part of the planning department. I wonder where all this comes from. Hey?
So that's
Yeah.
where all this comes
But
from.
we'll be celebrating excellence in aesthetics and community pride, and really there's 2 parts that we're celebrating. One is the design component, and the designers, the developers, and the property owners. And what we're doing there, basically, we're going to be rewarding those people who basically put good effort into designing a particular piece. And then we're going to celebrate the gardens, which is more about, I guess, making things look beautiful. Whether there's a good design or not, I'd be one probably in that category, right? Don't have much design, but with a bit of fertilizer and a bit of water, I think I can make an annual grow anyway. And to be honest with you, this is the flip side of what I saw a lot of the summer, which is in the minority in Mount Pearl. But, we had an inspector who would go around and check on our properties. And quite often we have many properties, not many, a minority of properties that are not in a state of good repair. So this celebrates those that people really go out of their way on the design side, beautification side, to have beautiful properties. They are meant to be an inspiration, Your Worship, for the rest of us. And they certainly we need to sit down with those people. We will on November 8th celebrate what they've done for the city. And basically, you're all invited there. Partners in all this is the Atlantic Planners Institute, the Newfoundland Association of Architects, and the Newfoundland Labrador Association of Landscape Architects. And they're basically helping us out, not only in coordinating the event, but also serving on the jury. That's the last thing I think we want to do as politicians is serve on the jury.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
That was an FYI. The next item for council's consideration is an order related to the property condition at 54
The exact opposite.
3rd Street. The exact opposite, yep. Inspection was done on September 12th as a result of a complaint. Basically, we had a property with rear yard debris all over the place. The fence was in need of repair. And there was a shed under construction, and there was no permit for it. There has been some improvement since in the property. The shed permit, however, has not been raised. I think the gate to the fence basically is still not repaired. So we'd like to, with council's approval, issue an order in relation to the state of disrepair for non-compliance with the permit, and this is according to our development regulations, fence regulations, and building regulations, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Akers, seconded by Councillor Ledwell. Question or comment? Deputy Mayor.
I just received a phone call just before the meeting now regarding this particular property, and I'm delighted to see that this action has been taken. So we're issuing an order, so this will force either the resident to clean up the property, or the city will go in and make sure it's cleaned and pass on any costs or to the owners of the property. The resident that did call me did indicate that there was some work being done on I think the shed, he said, was probably torn down or removed, but he also expressed concern about they have a sort of a carport or an overhang, and he was concerned about the quality of that, and he said, he's nervous given the high winds that we're encountering that may also want to be checked into. So I told him I would bring it forth, and I'm delighted that this is brought forward. So just wanted to raise that, Your Worship. Thank you.
I guess our inspectors can visit that.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm assuming this order will get approved, and as part of the follow-up, Your Worship, we can add maybe the carport to it for the next time the inspector visits the property.
Absolutely. Thank you. We'll then call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
Next item for council's consideration is a two-lot subdivision, 7 and 9 Court Real Place. This is up in the area called Pearl View Phase 3, but this little piece of land at the end of the cul-de-sac there was not part of the original Phase 3 development. A subdivision development permit has already been issued here in the name of a family name, I think, is Evans, and that was in June of 2011. Now there's a Mr. Carbage who's going to develop the two lots up under a separate application. It's not a case of new ownership. It's just basically a new developer's taken over the development of the two lots, and I so move that we approve the subdivision permit for two lots 7 and 9 Court Real Place.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Now, is it Court Real or is it Corte Real? How do you pronounce it properly? Mr. Town Planner.
Yes, thank you.
Your Worship, with my Ukrainian background, I believe it's Corte Real.
It's Corte Real, right?
Oh, that's not Ukrainian.
Yeah, and see, but David Akers' background says no, boy, it's Court Real, right? And I'm kind of with him. I'm with you, Dave.
I live on a city street called Talon Place. Well,
Yeah.
that's the name of it. It was named after a former, I think, Governor General of
Talon,
Canada.
and you call it Talon.
Everybody calls it Talon, just like an eagle's talon.
Well,
It's just the way it works out.
how many people in Mount Pearl actually say Michener? They all say Michener, don't they? They all say it's Michener Drive, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's Michener Drive,
Well,
right?
it's the arterial road. We call that the artillery road.
We're going to call the question on that unless somebody's got a comment that makes sense. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
Next item, 10 residential lots, Mount Carson Phase B.
Oh, that makes sense.
This is owned RMD, residential medium density, and originally Phase 5 was approved, and that was broken down into a 5A and a 5B. This is, and that was done primarily because the area that they're about now to develop has a lot of rock issues, and they wanted to go at it slowly. All requirements are met, and there's something when I was reading the report today, I'd like if council would approve this, but I'd also like to point out that the temporary access, now, I shouldn't call it temporary access, it's an emergency access, will come off, I believe it's Finlay Stone Street. That will come out at the intersection where Mount Carson is opposite of, not Mount Carson at the Masonic Park, right? I'd like to just refer, if council would approve it, but refer the issue of that exact location maybe to our superintendent of municipal enforcement, just to make sure that it's not going to cause any issues. I'm thinking for the people coming out of the Masonic, making sure that nobody thinks that they can go straight through, and also making sure, because we've had a little bit of a history now with this new intersection since we realigned the road, making sure that nobody is using that temporary road basically for access, because it will not be closed off. It has to remain open, I'm assuming, for emergency vehicle use. Not to go in. It'll be a paved road, not to go in.
Well, why are we putting it there at all? I don't understand.
Well, it's reached the point where the length of the roadway, Finlaystone Street, basically has to have at this point in time a temporary access. There has to be a way in and a way out, separate way out of any particular subdivision. So this is just being done temporarily. And I'm not sure there's many options here, but I just want to double check with the superintendent.
I see the long-term. I see the long-term plan for the road, though.
Yeah. Well, there's another.
Why wouldn't we have them? Why wouldn't we have? Well, why wouldn't the road or the way out be through there instead of going back away from? I realize nobody can see the map, but. Maybe we're missing. Maybe I'm missing something here. All right. Mr. Yevchak. Yeah.
The issue, quite simply, is that we have an overall development scheme that has an entrance point south on Mount Carson Avenue and another one further north of this development. And the road will eventually, it's all done connecting those 2 points. However, as the development is proceeding on a northern basis, it needs a secondary access because the existing road structure exceeds the maximum length for emergency access of these subdivisions. So what the developer has been doing, and this is not the first time he's done it, is as he goes into one section, he puts towards the end of that section that's under development a temporary access, just a paved surface on Mount Carson Avenue, and as a temporary emergency access. As he goes further north, he'll do it again until finally the whole road is done and you have your 2 access points and you have all the road within that connected. So that's what the issue is. It's a pretty straightforward issue, actually.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor
I don't like the location of it.
I don't either.
I know we intentionally try to avoid any access or egress further onto Mount Carson Avenue.
Well, this one's right across from Masonic.
And that's why I say I particularly don't like the location of that one. But and I appreciate Councillor Akers' suggestion that it may not end up being that. But I think this is probably the best time to speak to maybe whether or not we could relocate it. It is, just so I understand clearly, according to the information we were provided, it's also just a temporary access until the full development is done. The problem is, does it have to be paved, or does it have to be there? Because my fear is, it's one thing to say don't use it, but if it's there and it's a paved road and it's an easy access in and an easy access out, how are you going to not use it? How are you going to enforce people to or dissuade them from using it? So it is a poor location. Masonic, of course, is filled with seniors, those who drive and visit back and forth, but particularly the seniors who live in Masonic are already tested by the change in the road structure at the top of Mount Carson. And I'd suggest that we could find another location other than making what that will now be a 4-way intersection. I know that's not the intent, but for all intents and purposes, at least as a temporary road right away, it will serve as a bit of a 4-way intersection there. And I just don't like the look or design of it.
Mm-hmm. Your Worship? Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was my concern when I saw the alignment there. And to your point now, the seniors coming out of Masonic, this is another distraction for them, another sort of new development there. But if it ultimately has to go there, is there any harm with us putting a barricade across there just for the general public, an orange barricade that could be moved by your emergency vehicles? Because that's the only time it should be used, yes, in the case of an emergency. So if we had a barricade up there with a clearly visible do not enter sign, it may serve that purpose to cut down on throughway traffic there, and it would allow in the enforcement. But I too would rather see if we can't explore another option here, another exit from
Yeah, so-
this development.
So what we really need, Councillor Aker, if I can, you have a list here. Planning and Land Use Development Committee, you have the recommendation going forward and the conditions of development permit and agreement of the things that should be referenced. Do we need to add something to this now that references the possibility of maybe changing that particular exit? And if so, is there a wording or a place where it should appear?
Your Worship, what I think we would do is prove this in principle, but we need to consult with our Chief Superintendent of Municipal Enforcement, and perhaps we can move the location slightly. I'm thinking slightly north. I think the fact that it's directly across from the Mount Carson or the Masonic Park intersection is what's going to cause some of the confusion, not only for people coming out of Masonic, but for travelers. If it could be moved even, you know,
If it was
50
moved like, if it was
meters
moved like one lot,
northeast,
if it was
right?
moved like one lot
Yes.
and just break the
Yeah.
visual piece of it being a four-way stop would work.
Plus the superintendent can counsel us too in terms of maybe there's some good signage to put up. I'm not sure we can put a barricade up because that kind of slows down the emergency nature of the access road. I do like Councillor Walsh's idea. Maybe we shouldn't pave it. Maybe we shouldn't make it look like a street. If it was just gravel, basically maybe people wouldn't gravitate to it. You know what I mean? So council, I can put a couple of options on the table. We can withdraw it and bring it back in 2 weeks, or we can prove it in principle with the review to be done by our superintendent.
I think I would prefer that we, because we all support this, I think I'd rather that the developer and everybody knew we supported it.
Yeah.
And that we're just dealing with, we're even going to support it with this where it is if there's no other way around it. So let's not, I wouldn't hold up the developer who's got work to do in advance. I'd go ahead and approve it. That's why I was wondering, was there a piece of wording or anything that could go into the resolution that would capture that?
Yeah, I would suggest just subject to review of any traffic concerns with the temporary access, subject to review by our superintendent of municipal enforcement.
That works for me. We can capture that? Everybody good with that? Because we don't even need to do an amendment on it. We can just add it.
Yeah,
by
add it to
consensus.
the table right now.
Councillor Stolz, you wanted to speak to it? Or?
No, I'm good with that. I just had another concern, and it's regarding to the same. It's regarding to item 15 about the open space. And I remember when we were discussing this that the open space was going to be down further in the development, in another area. And looking at this now, it says where the open space is going to be, that it's going to be lot 40 and lot 44 and Finlandstone Drive. And I'm just wondering if that's a different location altogether from the whole development. And I remember when this came in back a few years before.
Yeah,
I'm just
I do too.
wondering.
I don't think so, but it's a good question.
I'm just wondering what. Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
Mr.
that
Yefchek,
stuff?
can you answer that?
Yeah, Your Worship, the open space in this phase, and this is, remember, this is phase 5B, which we're talking about a few number of lots. If you look at the more detailed plan, it says it written across preliminary, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner a walkway that comes off the northern cul-de-sac. Well, that walkway is actually the open space that we're referring to.
Right,
And
I
that-
see it there, yeah.
And that open space walkway actually goes into an open space area which is behind it, which is fully treed, which was originally an open space area for the Kenmount Park subdivision.
Right.
So we'll get access there. So that's the open space we're talking about. In reference to Councillor Stoyle's comments about the southern open space area, indeed, we do have it there. And Councillor Stoyle's, it's this piece here. Oh, just it's this piece in the lower portion right here, the open space here. That's the larger one for the area.
Right, that's the large one. Okay, answer your question?
Yes.
I'm going to call the question then, everybody. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Okay, good stuff. Moving right along. We have an order for 11 Mount Carson Avenue. This was picked up, I believe, as part of the city's inspection process. The building that's there is in a state of disrepair, poor maintenance. So, under our occupancy and maintenance regulations, I'd like to make a motion that we issue an order in relation to the state of disrepair and ask the homeowner, you can see the order that's there, ask the homeowner to immediately repair it, or we'll take actions to do it for them. Thank you. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Akers, seconded by Councillor Ledwell. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Now, I have a notion.
You have a notion of motion, do you?
There's two, actually. There's one outside the kit. This is the one inside the kit. In accordance with Section 39 of the City of Mount Pearl Act 1988, take notice that in accordance with Council's public notification policy, I will, at a regular meeting of Council, move an amendment to the text of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 that, if enacted, will, in Section 11.13, Use Zone Schedules, Commercial General Special Use Zone, add the following. In Section 11.13.1, add, in alphabetical order, group childcare to the list of permitted uses. The purpose of this amendment is to allow, as a permitted use, group childcare in the CG-S use zone. And Your Worship, with the leave of Council, I'll read the other notice of motion, the one that's
Yep,
inside
please,
the
go
kit.
right ahead.
Okay, thank you. In accordance with Section 39 of the City of Mount Pearl Act 1988, take notice that in accordance with Council's public notification policy, I will, at a regular meeting of Council, move an amendment to the text of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 that, if enacted, will. Part 1. In Section 2, definitions, define and add front yard to the list of definitions. Part 2. In Section 11, use zone schedules, more specifically in the commercial general, commercial mixed, commercial highway, and industrial light use zones, in the development standards section, subsection 2, minimum landscaping on lot, clarify the language and specify conditions as to where in these use zones open storage of goods and machinery may be permitted in the front or flanking street side yard. The purpose of this amendment is to better define where and subject to which conditions Council may permit the storage of goods and machinery in the front yard of a lot, which is defined to be located between the front wall of the building and the street line.
Thank you, sir.
All right, the next item that we have, we're getting into some more housekeeping stuff here now. So this will be the permits for the period October 15th to the 27th. Development permits number 67 and 68, and I so move.
Seconded.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Residential permits in the amount of $1,451,250. I so move.
Seconded.
All in favor? Contrary minded, carried.
Finally, commercial, $1,326,844, and I so move.
Seconded.
All in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Your Worship, that's the end of the stuff we tabled in the kit and at the beginning. With the leave of Council, I'd like to table another item, if that's possible. Would you rather I wait? This is an order as it relates to a property on Topsa Road. I can wait to the round table if that's what you prefer.
No, you can go ahead.
It is coming
It's
from the planning
It's part of the
committee.
planning committee piece. Go ahead.
Yeah, it has to do with heavyweight fitness at 1073 Topsa Road, which basically is using a portion of the building there. They're using it for a gym, and they have been doing so without a permit. We've had a number of complaints that started the spring with regards to parking. And the parking is occurring on the neighboring streets as well as on neighboring businesses. And in our review, we've determined that basically we need to have more parking. This has been confirmed by our staff on planning. We had a notice of motion to this effect last 2 weeks ago. And as a result, the lawyers for the property owner as well as the business owner and the city are now starting to talk. As late as, I think, 4 o'clock today, we had another email from the lawyers asking for Council to defer the decision. But frankly, we have 2 more meetings coming. If this order is approved today, which would basically call upon them to cease and desist and remove themselves from occupancy in the building, if things are sorted out with regards to the property, the parking on the property, we have 2 more Council meetings with which to deal with this. But I think this has dragged on long enough, and I think in the best interest of our residents and the fellow business owners, I think we need to put the order in place. It's not something we do lightly, and it's not something we've just done on the spur of the moment. We've been negotiating this for the last few months. I think the primary issue at the end of the day is not the willingness of the tenant and the owner of the building to get this done. It may be a physical issue in terms of getting the parking in. This time of the year, it's more difficult to do paving and whatnot.
They had since last May.
But they've had since last May. So I'm going to table the motion for the order, and seek Council support to do this. And we'll address the issue again in the next 2 meetings. I'm sure it'll come up again. And I so move.
Seconded.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Contrary minded? Oh, I'm sorry. Before we vote, Councillor, on an unrelated matter? Okay, I will call the question on this one. All in favor? Contrary minded, motion's carried. Councillor Walsh.
Your Worship, I had a question that I missed. It seemed like it's a routine development permit 67, which we just approved, but I just want to get clarification on what that seems to be on Merchant Drive is a double stacking lane drive-through. What is that? Where is that location? Is it Tim Hortons?
Yes.
It is. So what are they proposing to do there with that? It's a double stacking lane, so I know there's room there now, but it's an actual egress around the building. So are they going to have two lanes there?
Yeah.
Your Worship, we've been in this is the issue of congestion at Tim Hortons. Of course, is not a new issue to council, and we have been dealing with Tim Hortons and the property owner, local property owner, trying to improve the issues or the circulation around these buildings. And this has been ongoing now, I'm going to say, for about 18 months. And we're dealing with a number of sites. We're pleased to see that that Tim Hortons, TDL Limited is the name of the group, has come forward with a proposal, actually for 2 sites. This is one of them. This is the Tim Hortons in 5 Merchant Drive. And what they're proposing is actually 2 ordering, as you go towards the back of the building, actually 2 ordering
Lanes. One feeds into the other.
yeah, but you still have kind of one lane, but then it divides into 2 ordering lanes, and you order, and then one orders, and then next one orders, and so you get a much quicker number of orders in, and they're reconfiguring the internal setup of the Tim Hortons ordering bay, so that they can do more orders quickly. And they believe that this is one way they can deal with the issue of congestion there, amount of traffic there, within the confines of the existing property.
It has, by the way,
Can I just
they have such a system at Tim Hortons in Gander.
Yeah.
The double lane, the stacking lane, and it works fairly well. To my surprise, because I thought there would be traffic conflict, but no, it actually works okay.
It works okay. If I understand it correctly, they're coming around the building, and then they're gonna queue one after the other, so they double order. The problem is, though, unlike the one in Gander, in this particular case, they're driving off the lot. If there are 15 or 20 cars coming off that lot, if they actually do that, these cars are going to have to come out around the front of the building, not around the back of the building as they used to be able to do. Or am I wrong?
Well,
with that?
you're envisioning that right backwards, I think.
I feel this is an improvement. What's going to happen is, as you get to the drive-through window where you place the order, now you're going to have 2 lanes. And I think what we get out of this is the extra stacking of 5 more vehicles at the very most, typically 4. But once you get to the drive-through window, when you're making your order, thereafter, each car will take its turn going down and picking up their order. So they'll still exit along the exact same route, pick up their tea or coffee,
Yeah,
and
I'm
then
not
leave.
talking about the cars that are on the lot that are not going through a drive-through.
No, I'm talking about the ones that
No,
are...
I'm talking about a different group of cars. I'm talking about the cars that are parked on the lot.
Right.
If they're using a double stacking lane on the side of the building,
People get out.
how do people get off the lot if they're not using it? Now, that's going to put an awful lot more traffic
I got you.
crossing in front of a... Already, they come out of the drive-through and they exit treacherously. Now, we're forcing all the cars, instead of going around in a separate dedicated lane, they're going to have to come back out in front of these cars. That's going to be a problem. And I guess from the perspective of this permitting, and I know we just approved it, but and I had a note made to discuss it at the time, but why wouldn't we have seen this prior to now, or did I miss something? Because this, I know it's brought forward. Normally we'd get something and discuss it, or see a design of it, or have some discretion to discuss it, or whatever. But this is a fairly significant change, and I think it's going to, I'm not sure how much of it improves. It's going to be an improvement for drive-through, I'll grant that, but I think it's going to be a tremendous impediment for traffic coming off the lot. Because sometimes there are 20, 25 cars on that lot, and now they can't go around the building. Now they have to come back, cross over the front of that traffic, and I'll tell you, in the morning and in the evenings, that's going to be a major problem.
Mr. Yefchak.
Your Worship, yeah, under the regulations, I guess, in terms of process, this is a permitted use, so that's why council did not see it, because it's not discretionary or it's not a public process. It's permitted. We've just approved something similar in the new in McDonald's. Same kind of idea. Now they have a lot more room.
They have more room, though.
Yeah, they have a lot more room granted, but the same idea. The proposal, and we can certainly send out the site plan that we received to council for the review. The proposal is basically to continue that one stacking lane going up the side of the building, and then it branches off towards the back of the building where they order.
Yep.
So that's kind of the configuration.
And that's going to be good. But the traffic on the lot is not going to be good.
Well, I want to see that too, because that's different than the Gander experience completely.
Very different. And different from the McDonald's one, and that's why, like, in the McDonald's proposal, traffic has plenty of room to exit, like through traffic. That's the problem here. Now, I know we really desperately need to fix the drive-through, because that's a major problem. We're assuming that is that's the biggest impediment to traffic and egress from that lot, particularly during the early morning. And maybe this won't be as big a problem as I'm thinking it could be, but at other times throughout the course of the day, when there are a lot of people going there for lunch, they now have to come back out across that traffic line. And that's going to be a problem.
That's not what I envision either.
Well, it is what's going to happen.
Maybe we need to have a look. Maybe we need to have a look at it. But I was looking at a double stacking lane. I was not looking at a double order lane. And when they go to Gander, the whole idea, the classic one was Gander. There's a double stacking lane up to the point where you order. Up to the point where you order. And the whole idea is that you're getting twice as many cars off the road and onto your site. And I thought they were attempting to do the very same thing. But what you're telling me is they're going to have 2 order windows. Well, they only have 1 window.
Sir.
It doesn't matter even about the window, Your Worship. It's not the window. It's they have another way of getting off the lot.
But the issue is the issue there is, yes, you have to
have another way to get off the lot.
To get traffic.
Yeah.
That's not using the order window off the site. All right, we'll have a look at it. Mr. Councilor Aker.
This is a compromise. According to our development regulations, I don't really think they really have to do anything. Basically, people obeying the Highway Traffic Act should not be stopping on Merchant Drive waiting to get to the drive-thru. So the compromise, I guess, was because the owner of the business has no further land and could not secure any additional land from the neighbors. So the compromise was, let's stack a few more cars in the parking lot. But you're absolutely right, Councillor Walsh. It does result at the end of the day with more congestion, typically for those people, I guess, who are going in to purchase their tea or coffee. This is not a win-win. This is a win for the drive-through people. It's not a win-win in terms of also a winner for the traffic on Merchant is going to be better. But for those people who want to get on the parking lot, park the car, go in for a cup of tea, come back out, it's going to be, at certain times of the day, more congestion. I guess we looked at it in committee that we're getting 4 or 5 cars off Merchant Drive. That was the goal here. And it seemed like our hands were tied in terms of everything else. We're also, the TDL is also looking at the other drive-through, which is over on the Ruth Avenue property, and there's congestion over there as well. That one came to committee, but we've sent that one back with very, very similar questions. But as I understand it, none of this today would get approved according to our development regulations. They're completely different now. These drive-thrus were approved under a different era when there was different standards. I think at CVS, for heaven's sakes, Tim Hortons was actually closed.
They actually built it.
And they built a brand new one, right? Yeah, yeah. So I guess given the constraints we have, we've been trying to work with the owner of the property, trying to make some improvement. But is it perfect? Absolutely not. I agree.
Well, if I could just make one further comment, and I'm sorry to delay this because I meant to bring it up when we were there, but if you look at the configuration of the lot and you look at the lot that's adjacent to it, I don't know. That's the one where the bank is, TD Bank is, and I'm just wondering if there's any way that through traffic could actually exit from the other side of that, if there could be some sort of an easement or right-of-way that could be provided there. Because I'm telling you, this is really going to present problems. Anyone who goes on that lot
That's a huge problem now.
90% of the people, I mean, you can't compare to the Gander experience or to CBS. Ruth Avenue, they have all kinds of room to go up behind Wendy's. That has a different set of problems. They have traffic stacking from two different directions is one of the biggest problems up there. So having a double stacking lane there will help a lot.
No, they
but they still have loads of room.
They can fix that one.
They can fix it easily, and they have lots of room. This one has no other alternative. Maybe another easement or some sort of an agreement with the adjacent property owner may, it wouldn't be the most convenient, but it will get you off the lot much more safely. This is going to present some problems.
Well, so now when people are going out, they're going to be stuck in the going through.
Guys, I think we've got to see the actual plot to understand it better. So let's do that.
Okay.
Right? Because we're into a debate. We're into a debate and asking questions we can't answer right
One
now.
little response to what Councillor Walsh was saying. Great idea.
Yes, and then move on.
I think in your time, Deputy Mayor, when you were on the committee, we brought this issue. The neighboring property is owned, I think, and managed by Smart Centres. Yeah. And basically, they think that all the parking requirements have been met for all the properties there. And basically, that's a private matter between TDL and Smart Centres. But I think you're absolutely right. That's where the open space is. But for some reason, I guess proprietary, no doubt, they don't want to have access coming through where Subway is and TD Bank and Smitty's in that area there. But that is the solution that we thought of in committee several times, right? At the end of the day, right?
Well,
Your
we
Worship,
want to have a
probably
vote, for
close
sure.
debate on that note.
Yep. Thank you so much, because there's not supposed to be any debate on a notice. Well, that wasn't on the notice. Thank you. All right, we are now ready for new business. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we started over here, and we started with you, so we'll start with Councillor Stoyles today.
Wonderful. Thank you, Your Worship. A couple of things. First, I want to say I attended and represented the council at the credit union last week. They signed a proclamation at their location for Credit Union Days, and I was certainly honoured to be there. And I dropped the proclamation off to Mona at the office, so it is there for just for information. Also last week, Your Worship, I attended the Atlantic Mayors meeting in CBS, and of course Woody French is the new chair of the Atlantic Mayors, and it was 2 days of meetings up in CBS, up at the Yacht Club actually, and I couldn't attend the dinner on Thursday night because I had another commitment with the joint councils up in Ferryland, but I had been there all day Thursday and again on Friday. 3 proclamations were passed. Wastewater, 3 resolutions were passed. Wastewater resolution, 1 on the CN Railway, and a homeless resolution. And I have all those to pass along to council on the 3 resolutions and the 3 issues that they had discussed in the 2-day meetings. One of the things I would like us to do, Your Worship, is to send a letter off to Peter Kelly. Peter is the former chair of this group, and he had started this group right from the get-go for the past 15 years, apparently, and the city of Halifax had put a lot of money into getting the Atlantic Mayors together, and of course Peter didn't run again, and as they had their election a couple of weeks ago, and he was at the meeting for the last meeting, and certainly wanted to wish him well in his public life, and for us to send off a letter thanking him for all the work that he had done with that group. And also, Your Worship, a resident of Mount Pearl, Linda Connors, who lives here on Bannister Street, had contacted me about the lights in the square, and she sent off a thank you, asked me to thank the staff, because within a couple of days or within 24 hours the lights were back up. Apparently there was some kind of a shortage in the wiring, and she had sent off an email to a number of councillors, and within 24 hours the lights were fixed and back on, because they were just about in darkness up there, especially with the nights now being dark and dull and that, and she was certainly impressed with how fast that the staff had taken action on that issue. And the next notice that on joint council meeting will be in Bay Bulls.
Bay Bulls, thank you.
And the minister was at the last one.
Very good. Thank you very much. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Your Worship. And first of all, thank you for entertaining my little discussion on the Tim Hortons. I do appreciate it.
No,
And hopefully,
it's valuable. It's important.
hopefully we'll be able to resolve it and make it a little better. I wanted to take the opportunity, Your Worship, just the very next day after our last meeting, we had a joint meeting of the Mount Pearl Paradise Chamber of Commerce, where there were a number of awards passed along that night. It was a great evening. I just want to thank all of the nominees, and particularly the winners. and highlight one of the Community Spirit Award that went to H.J. Bartlett. And as you know, Harry Bartlett is a former Citizen of the Year and does a lot of work in Mount Pearl and has been involved with a lot of volunteer organizations. The entire night, actually, was beautifully done. Great meal, great awards presentation, great ceremony, and very deserving nominees and winners. And I just wanted to pass along heartiest congratulations to the Chamber for sponsoring that, and to all of the nominees and winners. On Saturday evening past, we most members of council, I think, were in attendance at the soccer 40th anniversary. I guess it was sort of their official closing celebrations,
40th,
but
yeah.
I know they still will go on through the end of the year. But it was a great evening again, and just congratulations, particularly to the co-chairs, Ed Moyse and Mike Mooney. You talk about two community volunteers. I mean, they are stellar, and the passion and the pride that particularly Ed has. I mean, not to in any way diminish Mike's involvement or his volunteerism, but soccer and Ed Moyse are kind of synonymous, especially in Mount Pearl, but even provincially. Ed is recognized as being Mr. Soccer, from coast to coast, at least in this province. So a great job, and I think throughout the entire year they've done yeoman service in highlighting soccer in Mount Pearl, and they've had a good season as well with the various teams and house leagues that they've had there. Things can change pretty quickly, Your Worship. Last Tuesday, or 2 Tuesdays ago, when Councillor Tessier was here, was actively involved in the meeting. Later that night, I think she lost an uncle and her mother's brother, and I just wanted to publicly acknowledge that and pass along our condolences to Councillor Tessier, her mother, and the family. And of course, we were all a little saddened today to learn as well that Anna Edmonds. Anna is, I think most people know and recognize Anna. She's been around a long time at the Reed Centre. Her mother unfortunately passed away overnight last night, and again, just to pass along condolences there as well. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ledwell?
Thank you, Your Worship. I too want to add my congratulations to the Soccer Association, in particular their 40th anniversary committee. Ed and Mike and their team certainly put off a first-class event, a first-class year of events, I should say. So a job well done to them. We're certainly very proud to attend many of their events, including the closing dinner on Saturday past. I also want to make mention, speaking of special events, of a special event that's coming up next month, November 29th, is a special celebration up at St. Peter's Parish. And it's an anniversary celebration, twofold an anniversary celebration, actually. This year is the 30th anniversary of St. Peter's Parish. It was formed in 1982 here in Mount Pearl. And in addition to that, December 1st will mark the 10th anniversary of the new church building. I guess it's not new anymore, but the church building on Ashford Drive. So a very special Mass is planned on the night of November 29th, a Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Certainly, it's a very strong parish community up there, and certainly very proud to celebrate it. And I want to wish all of the members of the parish and Father Sutton very special congratulations.
Amen. Thank you. Amen. That's appropriate enough, wasn't it, on that?
Amen.
All right. Councillor Aker. I'm just going around the circle right to the DM, no?
All around the circle. We're saving the best for last tonight.
There you go.
Last Friday night, you're welcome. Last Friday night, the Sport Alliance ran off the bingo. Jeez, it was really successful.
400 and something people.
300 and something people were there.
They only had the maximum the fire commissioner will allow.
Yes, this is true. Yeah. So.
Oh, yes, it does, because they'll do another one.
But I want to throw kudos to both Mike Bugden and Albert Clark, who formerly raised well over $1 million with minor hockey in the city, putting off the bingo in support of synchro skating, tennis, as well as synchro swimming. There was a big crowd there. It reminded me of the old days. We had the minor hockey crowd basically running the bingo and all that. Reg White was there, and everything was there, Reg said, except the smoke that used to be there 20 years ago.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to add, well, two more things. This coming Friday, the birth of a new hockey league occurs here in Mount Pearl. As you know, the Blades, unfortunately, have temporarily folded for a year from the Newfoundland Senior Hockey League. The Avalon East Mount Pearl Samurai take to the ice versus our regional partner in St. John's, and that'll be up
the
at
Mount
the,
Pearl Samurai.
Yes, well, I guess they couldn't use the Blades, right?
I like it.
Sword is close enough. There you go. Yeah, right on. And
so what happens? They lose? What happens? They lose? Harry Carey?
Harry Carey.
I don't know.
And finally, I just want to make note, probably not for the minutes, Harry Newman is back again. Harry, good to see you again. Unfortunately, we weren't going to be dealing with your issue here today, but we will, in the coming days, deal with it privately. Thanks for sitting through the meeting, and next time, basically, if you give me a call, we'd be glad to say if it's going to be on the public agenda. Anyway, thanks for coming.
Well, we hope you're entertained.
A little bit, he says. A little bit.
Oh, here you go.
Now we're all jealous. Deputy Mayor.
I have one. I just wanted to echo the condolences that Councillor Walsh sent out to Councillor Tessier and her family, and Anna Edmonds and the family as well. I just want to highlight another achievement with one of the sports groups here. The Mount Pearl Senior High girls volleyball team won the VolleyFest this past weekend. 180 teams from across the province, the biggest volleyball tournament, and they went undefeated. So another great accomplishment for the youth in the city of Mount Pearl. Also, I just want to acknowledge the Soccer Association. The 40th anniversary was great as well, and it was a very nice night, and again, kudos to all involved. And that's it from me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have very little to add other than to say that as it relates to the 40th anniversary of soccer, I am going to be sending a letter to the President, and I'm going to pass on heartfelt compliments to the co-chairs on a fabulous year of work they did. And I also want Council to be aware I'm going to send, I think, a rather complimentary letter before it's all said and done, because, as you know, I can be a little prolix on occasion. I want to pass on a heartfelt thank you to Adam Nolan and to John at Munn Insurance. They have made a $40,000 commitment in scholarship contributions to youth in Mount Pearl over the next several years, and I think that is much like we say about Mr. Bartlett, whose work has been above and beyond the call of duty. This is above and beyond the call of duty, and I thought Adam's comments about investing in your past and holding it dear and making sure that you invest in your future was apropos, timely. It was a great message, but what a tremendous corporate gesture for both father and son and their corporation to make. So I'm going to be for 10 years. I'm going to be sending a note to them on that. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. A move by Councillor Ledwell. We stand.